Welcome back to Almost Pro. In part one of this conversation with Dr. Damien Taylor, we explored the foundations that sit beneath elite performance. We chatted about sleep, nutrition, and exercise, and why athletes and others often underestimate the importance of these things until something starts to break. In this episode, part two, we move into the elements that become even more critical as athletes face sustained pressure, transition, or the moments when sport no longer provides the structure it once did. We explore quiet time and rest, environment, and community, the systems that shape how athletes think, behave, and stay grounded when competition routine or identity shifts. This is a conversation for athletes who are learning to carry their performance mindset beyond the game, but really for anyone who's felt the weight of expectation without truly understanding the playbook they're working with. Let's continue the conversation with Dr. Damien.
Great to be back. Thank you. Yeah, it was fun. First episode, so looking forward to jumping into the second part.
Damien, the first episode was so interesting. Everything that we unpacked in that, the three elements are not necessarily elements that took me by surprise, but the way that the breakdown actually impacts our life and impacts our ability to lead and our overall health and performance is just something that you don't give a lot of time and thought to, I feel like, on a day-to-day kind of basis, but is so important to do that, to put it at the forefront of your mind and prioritize yourself and what outcomes you want for yourself. Moving into this part two, can you take us through the final three elements of this six-part infrastructure, starting with quiet time and rest? So what does this entail?
The quiet time and rest and just to back up your point, the first three, we really compromise those so easily and that they're overlooked and we're willing to put them to the side or just to not worry about them and dismiss them. But you can start seeing the fracture points coming very quickly and how one compounds the other. And that leads into this quiet time and rest that people say, I don't have time. I'm so busy. But if we don't give ourselves the opportunity to slow down and slow down our mind to reflect and then introspect, then we don't get growth out of anything. Yeah. And then when we're using our quiet time, people say, I'm going to sit down and have some quiet time. And then they're scrolling. So they're just feeding their mind. Most people can't even go to the bathroom, to be honest with you, without taking their phone in there and scrolling. But there's however many minutes you want just to have some quiet time, but go for a walk and don't take your headphones. Don't take anything. The opportunity to reflect on your morning, your day, allows you to ask questions that we don't ask enough. We start to, how did I contribute to X? There's a thing called a hot wash that I teach. Hot wash is two simple questions after an event, after a meeting, whatever situation. What did we do well or what did I do well? Mm-hmm. What could I do better next time? Not what did I do wrong, but what could I have done better next time? Mm-hmm. How could I handle this better? Could I have asked this question differently? Did I not ask this question? But giving that yourself the opportunity to have the quiet time to ask those questions, to reflect, helps with your response next time, helps with understanding your contribution because a lot of it's the blame game. It was because of them. It was because of this that this happened. But that quiet time, slowing down the noise, get off your phone, get off everything, just go for a walk. You will be absolutely astounded what comes into your mind. In 20 minutes, comes in and out. Sometimes for an overthinker, it teaches you to stop overthinking. And there's drills that you can do. I'm not going to give them rent-free space in my mind.
It's such an important lesson there. In today's world where information is coming in so quickly and environments are changing so rapidly, it's almost like we are taught, in a sense, to react rather than reflect. And you see a lot of reaction. And as you mentioned, the ability to just be still for a moment and get some clarity around an issue and just reflect on a situation is something that is so often overlooked.
And it's so important to how you sit in it. So we've got front end that we're talking about, and the back end that we talked about in episode 1. But part of the system, of the front end system, we're an operator, and within that operator, it's called the 3PS system, which is as a leader, and that can be an athlete, a coach. Well, we're all leaders. What's your purpose? What's your purpose there, and what's your purpose in the moment? What's your presence there? Are you present, being where your feet are? And everything is situational specific to have situational influence. So that 3PS system, knowing our purpose, our presence, and being present to have situational influence in situation specific, that all comes together. But having this really important pillar of the quiet time and rest, it's not just sitting there going to sleep. Sometimes it could be meditation. I love meditation and do it every day. But I also take a specific walk with no headphones, nothing. Your first walk in the morning is just, let's see what comes in,
Yeah.
what comes
You know,
in, what comes out.
when you talk about this, Damien, I'm so reminded or jolted to think of this concept of shower thoughts. You know how
Yeah.
people can talk about their shower thoughts, and I would hazard a guess it's because of this very element. It's because in the shower there isn't the distractions, or at least you can't reach for the same distractions, and therefore it is quiet time by its very nature, right? And so I often think about my days and starting my morning, or the time that I have in the shower is quiet time. It's just me, and I'm able to kind of develop a plan for my day, or I'll have the most random of creative thoughts, or something will happen during my shower that I think is purely because it's a space without distraction.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's unfortunately a fear for people of having quiet time to introspect because it brings noise.
Mm,
But without that ability to have the introspection and reflection, then you don't improve yourself. That hot wash, what I do well, what can I do better? It's a
yeah.
continual learning thing. And there's always ways that we can improve and handle things differently. Now, if we want to be high performing and a high performing leader, we've got to want to grow and develop ourselves first and foremost.
Yeah.
Because what you need under highest tension, if you're looking at those athletes at the highest level, the coaches, under the highest tension, if you're looking across and people are agitated and losing control, then you think we're not in control of this situation. But if you're having quiet time and rest all the time to reflect, you accept challenge and tension is where you want to be because you've slowed things down and you slow down the process and you've got that emotional intelligence and human intelligence to be able to work through those moments of challenge and cool the room. That's what we need to do with ourselves every single day. Quiet the noise, quiet the
It
time,
feels
get some rest.
it feels so contra to hustle culture. It
Oh, the
feels
grind. Let's go on the grind. You've got to be
right,
grinding
Yeah.
hard. Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
It feels so contra to our perception of performance. And when we talk about high performance, to take time out to reflect feels the very opposite of get on and grind.
Yes,
And yet, as you rightly point out, it it is what allows us to operate best in the urgency, in the constancy, in the demands, is actually because we've taken the time to really sit in reflection.
absolutely.
Right.
What are the big mistakes that leads to, oh, we've been here 100 times? No, you haven't. You haven't been in that You've been in similar situations, but have you been fueled the same? Were you sleeping well? The conditions are always different. The people are always different in different moods and different things. So this assumption that we've been there before, we've had similar, so we've
Mm.
got knowledge to draw on,
Mm.
but you haven't been in that situation all the time.
The other disruption to quiet time, from my perspective, is our cultural appetite for living behind the scenes of everyone's lives. So,
Great
for an
point.
athlete to pursue quiet time, there's almost still a demand on them to publish what they were doing in it.
Absolutely. We're sort of moving into that environment, but the next pillar, but that is so, why is there an obsession for posting a story on what location I'm at, or yes, this back into hey, look at me, look at me, look at me. And then when the look at me comes in the wrong direction that you don't want, stop picking on me, stop looking at what
Yeah.
I don't like all these comments. But you're
Yeah. Yeah.
inviting a lack of quiet time. So I don't get on social media at all. Uh, I don't post. I'm not interested. LinkedIn, yes, for business, we've got tools, and yes, social media is a good thing. I'm not saying don't do it, but
Yeah.
control your use of it.
Oh, yeah, yeah, and there's good tools for that now, right? Like,
Absolutely.
you can set so many different functions to shut the majority of your phone down if that's what you wanna do, or
Yeah,
shut apps down, or control time limits on those apps. It's not quite quiet time, but it is this perversion to see people in their spaces that they would like to hold more sacred, and maybe linking us as we start to step into your elements 5 and 6. But I'm thinking of Coco Gauff at the Australian Open this year,
yeah,
and the racket smashing. And
Yeah.
this, she had separated herself from the public arena. She'd taken herself into one of the back tunnels and still was hounded for footage of her smashing this
yeah.
racket, which was then poured to the public arena. It was poured in every direction, from
Yeah.
social media to screens at the event and so on. And I think, what is sacred then? What is
Absolutely.
deliberately physically separated myself. I have physically requested separation
Yeah.
and still can't
So I
have
can
it.
release.
And
Yeah,
so what for me, this element of quiet time and the demand that you are allowed to say, I'm taking this, I think it's just sacred. I think it is so.
absolutely sacred. COVID
Yeah,
was a real issue, and particularly for children who had
yeah.
to homeschool. I've got a nearly 16-year-old daughter, and that was a real challenging time for the
Mm,
reliance on technology to have
mm,
social interaction with people. So then it becomes it's like a part of their hand. They can't walk
yeah,
anywhere
yeah.
without their phone. So unlearning that reliance
Mm,
on social media for people as part of their life and their
mm.
functionality and communication has taken a long, 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 long time.
Yeah. So speaking of spaces, let's do element 5.
Absolutely. Environment,
Mm.
that's a good segue from the phone to the environment. What you put around you and who you put around you is absolutely vital to be able to structure all these different pillars. So
Mm.
if you've got your laptop's always on, then you've got your phone beside you. It astounds me watching children, teenagers. They've got a laptop with a YouTube going,
Mhm,
playing a video game
mhm,
with their phone, doing things as well. And I actually asked them, well, what's going on the laptop? They're talking about that. What's happening on the phone? Well, I'm talking to my mates on that while we're playing this game. So the amount of information that people want is just astounding of what they absorb. But are they present in anything? Absolutely not. It is wave tops all the time.
yeah,
Then that environment that you're creating for yourself, the ability to have quiet time, even to introspect, is lost because you only want 30 seconds of that, 10 of that, 10 of that, this, and then they go, you know what's happening over in X? It's this. And you go, well, that's not quite right. If you look into it more, that's not the reality of that situation. Then the
correct.
environment of people that you're putting around yourself, there can be I call them the oxygen takers. They'll call you and they just, this has happened to me. This is wrong. Got this problem. This, and you're like, do this and this and this and that. And they go, fantastic. Great to talk to you. I've got to go.
Mm,
They didn't ask you a question.
mm,
How are you doing?
mm,
How'd your day go? How are
yeah,
you? But if you've got 3 or 4 of those sorts of people that the relationship started differently, but you've allowed that to transition and that's become the reality of that relationship. So that environment you created, then you've got poor nutrition around you as well. You're not exercising. So your whole environment is absolutely busted everywhere. Then you're not sleeping, you're not getting quiet time because everything you're structured around you in your environment is absolutely flawed. As we're younger, we try and surround ourselves with more and more things. more and more people, as you get older, you actually do the opposite.
So true.
I don't want,
True.
and when you're
So
OCD,
true.
your bed tops are clean and all that, you're throwing out things everywhere. But a really important thing, and it might sound brutal, who have you got around you and
Yeah.
why are they around you?
Yeah.
If they're no good and it's toxic, make the hard call and remove them from your life.
Yeah.
Now, some
Mm.
people don't like that, and this is the problems with Facebook and Instagram and those things. Can't believe so and so did. Well, get off
Yeah.
Facebook and this. I don't care if you're worried about being liked, and this is a big lesson for all the leaders out there. If you're worried about being liked, don't become a leader at the highest level
Mm.
because it's not a popularity contest. You're there to make the best decisions for the people in the organization to be high performing, whatever level, and maintain high standards. Now,
Mm.
that at times is going to challenge people to say, hey, that's not what we do here. You're
Yeah.
just not the right fit for who we are.
Right. You talked about this in part one about integrity
Mm.
and integrity in our
Honesty,
environment.
honesty to say,
Yeah,
absolutely.
with ourselves as well. So
Yeah,
integrity in our environment, the doing what's right, even when it's hard,
absolutely.
is still about the decision making that will shape what's around us, those that are in our most intimate
Absolutely. Yep.
circles.
I don't want to
The
hurt their feelings. I
Yeah,
don't want people not to like me. So I'll put up with being treated like rubbish in a
yeah,
poor environment that's affecting. I can't eat because I'm so stressed. I don't feel like exercising and I'm not sleeping because my mind won't stop
yeah.
because I actually don't want to be in this environment with them, but I don't want to make the hard call.
And now, time for a short break. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to join the Almost Pro community and stay up to date with the latest episodes and news. To find out more or to apply to be a guest, visit almostpropodcast.com today.
I think sometimes for athletes, the environment feels like something they're not in control of. So it is still about helping to see what parts of that environment they can control, whether it's the physical or psychological or the cultural components, whatever it is that they can control, but also putting steps in place for change.
Absolutely. And that hot wash, how did I contribute to this? So what did I do well? What can I do better? There's a little bit of an imbalance talking about it with high performance athletes and organizations, that high performance does mean leaning into difficult conversations because how do we improve and get better constantly? And feedback when I was younger, it was awful. It was,
Mm,
I'll tell you how poor you are, or you're weak, or you're this or
mm,
that. It was you, that you hardly wanted to make a mistake. So it actually made you often perform within yourself. So you didn't
mm,
get in trouble rather than being able to be who you are and express yourself and take risks. And we all make mistakes and that's okay. You're not going to get berated,
mm,
but the balance has shifted a little bit on giving feedback or, well, you're just picking on me. So there's a victimization attitude coming through. So you've got to get the balance of high performance expectations and standards mean they're high performing and we
mm,
we expect these things. But
mm,
that environment shift that who you're putting around, if it's the wrong coaches or the wrong athlete, that what's a that this 80% of your time is going to the 20% of the agitators and the problem. You've
mm.
got to remove those sort of people, but you've got to flesh that out. So this environment is again a daily practice. Is this beneficial to me?
Yeah,
Is this beneficial to the people? Is
yeah.
this beneficial to my life? Is this enhancing what we're doing? Is this enhancing high performance? And if it's not, quiet time, introspect, reflect, and work through it, and then lean into the conversations that you've got to have.
But also, how do my values play out in this environment? Am I staying true to me in this environment? Because there is often solutions that can be found irrespective of the environment when we stay true to ourselves. We put the line in the sand that says these are the behaviors I can tolerate, these are the ones I cannot, of
Yeah,
myself and of others. These are the things that feel misaligned. But if we're compromising our values in order to stay in those environments, then we're in trouble.
absolutely. And I think in episode one, we talked about the start of our values are our radar. But
Yeah.
how often do we actually ask ourselves and we write them down? What are our say our top 5 values. If you're an organization, you would want to align with 3 to 5 values, but
Yep.
really, can you name what yours are?
Yeah.
And can you live them and action them? Because that will give you an understanding of why you're having responses that you are. And in
100%.
any team or any environment that you in, you are going to get challenged in some way, hearing things that you don't want to hear. But often in those times and situations, you've got to stay cool because you need to listen to differing opinions. And I
Yep.
worked all over the world in corporate. So culturally, there was very, very different opinions
Mm,
on things. And in meetings where you're trying to get things from China, from Japan, from Korea, from India, from the Middle East to go into the US or from the US, or culturally, you've got to understand what are their values.
yeah.
So what's important to them? How do I understand them, respect my values, get commonality in them. So
Mm,
this values understanding, it is so important. How do I live them and action them every day? You've got
mm,
to understand them. Then you
mm,
understand why your environment is good or it's broken.
mm. Which probably segues very neatly into community as element
It,
6,
yeah, it was. That
right?
worked out well, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that community and there's ecosystems. Not sure if we've talked about ecosystem. That generally there's 5. There's our internal ecosystem.
Mhm.
Then there's our personal ecosystem, our family, children, siblings. Then our professional ecosystem that we step into. That the majority of our time is spent in that ecosystem. Then more the political and social around those. But understanding those communities in there. So we step out from our internal, take our operating system into the professional community. What is that community and why are we there and why are we still there?
Mm,
Often we go into an area when we're younger because it's very difficult to choose what we want to do when we're 18. Often we don't know. It's such a tough thing to ask someone at that
it's so
age. What do you want to do for the rest of your life? It's a ridiculous question, actually, because
Yeah.
hopefully you're growing and evolving. But that community is so influential to how you're forming
yeah.
and living your values, and they can change them radically.
Yep.
So that environment we talked about is another key thing. You should watch this. You should listen to this. You should listen to this.
Yeah.
You should watch this. Join this community. Be real,
Yes.
and you go, oh yeah. Now that sounds really good. That's where radicalization, whatever it can be, and sporting groups, so be a football club, a rugby club, a tennis club, or whatever, is a community.
Mm,
That community gets little clicks in it, but you will align yourself with that community very strongly. Now, it might be a religious group. So you've got yourself, and depending on what those teachings are, wherever you become really aligned, and then your strong values you plug in there. It's this way, that way is wrong. This way, that way is wrong. So those communities that you're living all the time will affect every ecosystem that you're in. So again, you have to question this community that I'm in, what's it bringing to myself, but what's it bringing to the wider community? Is it bringing the values and the value and the community spirit
mm.
that is that I'm happy to associate my name with and
I
being part
really
of that group?
feel that community and environment really work so well together as well with
Absolutely.
everything that you're saying. If you've got a strong sense of a strong understanding rather of the community, the environment, and then obviously your values as well, you would be able to establish very clear boundaries for yourself on what you do and don't allow into your environment, into your community, into your life. And I think from an athlete perspective as well, being able to set these boundaries to say this environment is or isn't right for me. And even within the community, as you say, if they don't uphold the same values that you do, then okay, we can set that boundary. And I really see this as something I can action is I can set my boundaries moving forward from
And they're
these.
really important, and we'll let them lapse. And this is a real challenge for young high performers that are coming into a new environment. They were great junior athletes. They come into a new community
Yep.
and, hey, you got to do this to be part of the group. You
Yep.
go, oh, that doesn't feel comfortable. But if I don't do this, then they're going to label me as this, my opportunity. And some of these are big contracts. My opportunity is diminished if I don't just follow suit. Now, that takes real strength, as you said. These are my boundaries, and go, no, I'm not. Fortunately, drinking culture is going down a lot, but that used to be the big
Yeah.
pre-season drink, let's get together
Yeah.
thing. And if you say no, but I'm a non-drinker, a silly question in the Western world. You don't drink. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
what do you mean? What's wrong
Yeah.
with it? Nothing's wrong. It's just I don't choose the different reasons. Then you start explaining why you don't. You go, well, I just don't. It's
Yeah.
it's none of your business. So those boundaries you're talking about, people, why not? What's wrong with you? Why don't you relax? You go, I am relaxed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, relax more. You go, what do you mean I get my quiet time? I'm doing all these things.
Yeah.
I want to get the best out of myself. So
Yeah.
not being embarrassed to keep those boundaries, that was a really good point. That reinforcing your boundaries and being proud of who they are because you've done this hard work on the infrastructure of yourself and your operating system, because that's not me. I'm here to give this organization, the team, the very best I can. And
Mm.
that's why I hold myself doing these things at the highest value. So I know when I walk on the training track or to perform together, that I can put my head on the pillow, that I've given absolutely everything to give my best possible performance. Now, if that doesn't meet your standard, I'm not sure that high performance exists in this environment. So it's pretty
Yeah.
easy it takes maturity and lessons to learn. But that's what they're saying. Compromise who you are to fit in. It's like, I'm here to give you the best possible version of myself every time I step in the door.
Yeah. Damien, I see all of these elements, the 6 elements you've walked us through. And as you say, you call them the front end operating system. I think it's a brilliant, brilliant analogy that we can all visualize. I
Thank you.
see
Yeah.
them linking together in a way that really demonstrates how we're going to show up. How am I showing up? Because if I am, I'm well aligned in my values and I recognize where I fit in this community or my communities, my multiple communities, if I'm controlling the environment in a way that aligns to my values, if I'm meeting the measures of my internal requirements, so whether it's my sleep, whether it's my nutrition, whether it's my exercise, or the desire for quiet time and rest that I will hand on heart say I think we should hold sacred.
Yes.
I we're putting together this package of how you can see me show up, right? And then from an athlete and a high performance athlete's perspective, that the consistent application of each of those elements, all 6 of them, and doing them well is why we're seeing consistency under pressure at the high performance level, and it's not by accident.
It's not by accident. And if we go back to the very start, what is high performance? Doing these high performing things day in, day out, consistently, and
Yep.
walking through them, planning for them, doing them to give yourself the best opportunity to be the best version of yourself, be leadership ready every day, which you're going to add your command center. What's my purpose? What's my presence? Am I present? And it's situational specific. If you're ticking these boxes all the time, we're never perfect. We're human. We're going to have slip ups. But you know what you can do? You can start interrogating where I consistently slip up, that we can just go, there's my fracture points.
Love it.
That's why it's going. So it actually becomes very simple and a simple process, but understanding these provides you with the consistency that you're talking about, which makes you high performing all the time.
Damien, I love this because one thing about me is that I love Excel spreadsheets. I'm just that person. And
I love the data as well. Yeah, absolutely.
to be
Data
able to
overload.
graph everything out, to be able to
Hey.
see the data there. And for me, I'm already mentally creating my Excel spreadsheet of these 6 elements with my personal values underlining these. For someone that is struggling, and I understand that is just me, but for somebody who may be
We're
struggling with the
similar.
motivation
Yes.
to get started with this, Do you have any advice on the best way to get started with these 6 elements? Is it a matter of taking them column by column and listing one thing that you're going to change? Is it a matter of finding your personal values first? Where do you see a starting point for someone who goes, I want to be high performing, I want to get there, I have the will to get there, but how am I best going to get started in this?
Fantastic question. Understanding your values is number one. Being able to name them and write them down. I've got them in front of me. I know what that, but they're written there to live them and understand them. If you can't name them, you can't action them, and you can't measure them, and you can't understand why you're having the response to the other 6 pillars that you are,
Yeah.
because you're compromising your own values all the time. So if you don't know them truly, how can you be honest to them? And that's why you haven't got trust in yourself. So that integrity, if you're not being honest to them, you don't trust yourself and you don't trust anything else. So understanding your values first and foremost, they're your radar. So learn them, understand them, find out where they came from. Some simple questions are, what are 2 values that you learn from your parent or guardian? That all the time, we don't do that, we don't tell lies, we don't do this. So honesty, be respectful. And so if people aren't being respectful to you, that it might be, then in your sport, there'll be a coach that this is what we do, or resilience came from just got to keep turning up resilience. And you're not showing gratitude. Another one from the parents. So those things are actually formed very, very deep within you. Understand where they come from, because what our values do, they form our behaviors. So understanding our values forms our behaviors. So there's your little computer chip that you can plug in, that then you can start looking at these pillars. And I think in episode 1, we talked about it's New Year. I am going to the gym 5 days a week. I'm not eating Maccas anymore. I'm not drinking alcohol during the week. And that will blow up within probably 2 weeks if you're lucky, or at the end of the week 1, because we can't turn our life 180 degrees on all these things when kids are going back to school, you're going back to work, everything's blowing up at the same time, and you wanted to radically change your life while you're sitting there on Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, that you have 2 weeks off of pressure. So the chip away protocol, pick 1 or 2 things of each. What's one thing I can do to help with my sleep? What's one thing I can, instead of I have 2 soft drinks every day, I'll have 1. Chip away at each pillar and make incremental slow changes to each one. And then over 6 months, that'll get to the 180 degrees that you thought you'd do. So just chip away at it.
That is awesome advice, Damien. Awesome advice. I think we could be doing this conversation in 12 parts, because there is just so much that we could be unpacking.
A lot of rabbit holes. Yes.
I know, right? Where could our listeners find out more about what you're working on, Damien? See more about this information?
Absolutely. So if they go to the Be the Leader website, they'll just Google it, or www.betheleader.org, then you'll find all these protocols there, and you'll see a wonderful actually diagram of the front end, your command system, and the back end to really visualize it for you. There's plenty of articles that are right there. You can also look me up on LinkedIn, very prominent there. I talk to a lot of people, meet a lot of people. There's a lot of great stories there, so I'm very active there. And they're the 2 places, because I'm not on Instagram, I'm not on Facebook. I need my quiet time and my rest. I've got to live my protocols.
Damien, we will include those in our show notes as well.
Thank you.
To make sure everybody has those resources available. This has just been so interesting and such a valuable lesson really for all of us. Before we let you go, though, we are going to put a little bit of pressure on you here, remove some of that quiet time and rest.
Fantastic.
And put you through a this or that rapid fire.
Ooh,
are you game?
Under the pump. This will be fun. Great.
All right, let's get started.
Go for it.
Early morning training or late night sessions?
Early morning. I'm up at 3 a.m.
Oh, that is early. Okay, individual sport or team sport?
I've done both. It's important. So individual is going to challenge you in every single way. Team sport teaches you life skills of learning, understanding, and working cohesively with either. Do both.
Structured training plan or training by feel?
Important to have a structure that you go in with, but it's important to be agile throughout that. So have a structure, have a plan, but be able to adapt, because if you're going to play at the highest level, you can have a great plan. It's going to blow up when you go out there straight away.
Another good point. I'm gonna put you under a little bit more pressure here and say, if you had to go competition day adrenaline or quiet preparation, and you can only pick one, which one are you going with?
That is a great question. It's all about the journey for me. So the preparation all the time brings that consistency for you to compete at your best during that challenge. So without that quiet time, pick that every time, allows you to perform under the highest tension challenge all the time. You're grounded.
Yep, fair. All right, leading from the front or leading from within?
Good question.
We're just messing with you now, aren't we, Damien?
Yeah.
Because there's so many. I've got the Excel spreadsheet that I'm going through the data for you. So you are messing with my head. Absolutely. So to lead from the front, you've got to have your command system, your front end leadership, down pat and robust. So from within has to come first, or you can't lead from the front. You'll break down.
Well, you might enjoy this next one. Data and metrics or intuition and experience?
Intuition and experience. Yeah.
All right, hard conversations early or peace at all cost?
Hard conversations when they have to be had, lean into them, get them done, and understand how to do them with experience.
And final one, winning the moment or sustaining performance over time?
Sustaining performance over time. Moments come and go, and how you handle moments with humility, win, loss, or draw, is through that sustainability and experience over time.
Well, Damien, that was...
How do I go?
I think you've changed my mind on the this or that. I think now we need to call it why not have both, because you've made such valid
That's why you actually mess with... If you could have seen the data going on in my head to unpack all of that, it was quite astounding. Great questions. Yeah. There was a lot of maths going on.
That was this or that / why not have both with Dr. Damien. Thanks for playing.
Oh, you're welcome. It was fun.
Across these 2 episodes, Damien, you have shared a message that many athletes only discover after the game changes or ends. Performance is not just physical, and it's not just mental, it's systematic. The 6-part infrastructure, sleep, nutrition, exercise, quiet time, environment, and community, mirrors the very system that once surrounded athletes inside sport. When those systems disappear, athletes are often left trying to perform without support, structure, or identity clarity. Front-end leadership reframes what it means to perform beyond the field, the court, or the track. It's about learning how to lead yourself, regulate pressure, and stay anchored when external markers of success are removed. For athletes navigating transition, reinvention, or the quiet moments after the noise fades, this conversation is a reminder that your value was never just in the performance. It was in the person underneath it. Thanks for listening to Almost Pro. If this resonated, share it with an athlete who's figuring out what comes next. And remember to follow us at Almost Pro Podcasts for more conversations about life beyond the game. Thanks, Damien.
Thanks so much for having me. That was fun.
Thanks,
Loved the
Damien.
conversation.